What is up? Let's see how long we can keep this going for. So at the last Hormozi one-day event, Goose, you said something crazy. Oh, shoot.
I asked him his favorite color.
You said, Charizard's dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
You said that most communities, they're not fun enough.
Yeah.
And you give this crazy metaphor. You said that it should be broccoli wrapped in bacon.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
That one actually kind of stumbled on me doing the whole like school thing. It was really fascinating because it sort of turned out that organically, if I would come in with crazy colors or something weird or something loud or flamboyant, any of that stuff, as long as you had a kernel of value somewhere in there, it actually turned out to be the perfect recipe because it would be, dare I say, captivating because it was really interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd actually walk away with it going like, oh, that's actually really interesting.
Sure, because we all want to learn. We all want to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's what school's about. It's about educating people, but with the fun element. And like all of us, the three of us, we got the full Captivate team here today. Super, super excited.
Yay!
Last minute podcast, unreal. You go in most, even big school communities, even dare I say, school games winners communities, and it can be like a bit of a boring, dull ghost town.
Yeah.
Like, what have you guys done with your community that's so different and seems to be not only working so well, but like spreading across the whole platform?
Yeah, it's a virus.
I guess injecting ideas. You know, a lot of people focus on the specifics, and of course there's a lot of those, but you got to think bigger than that. Think outside the box, if nothing else. And, everybody's a copycat and thinks that, you just do this one thing and now you have an extra meeting or 5 more. Like that's all irrelevant. Like having some personality and bringing that as a driver is such a crucial part of everything, I think.
Yeah. I feel like what you guys represent really well is like community spirit.
Yeah, this is I'm really excited about this. Yeah. So the way I look at it, and I feel like it's a truth that everything has started way back with like corporate branding, with large companies from banks to like Nike to whatever it is. It's corporate. And this is how the world saw and understood businesses. And then through the rise of social media, personal branding really became a thing. And that evolved from, a personal brand as like an influencer on Instagram to somebody like Gary Vee, who is a personal brand to Elon Musk. And the corporate brand, which would be like, say, Tesla or SpaceX is the company, but the personal brand would be Elon Musk. Now, with Captivate, we're really, really diving into what Skool gives the platform for, which is the community. It's all about the people. So we have to pull away from both of those. We don't want the dryness and the boring corporateness. It doesn't make sense. It's got to have a face. And then we don't want just one face. It's about everybody. So that's where we came up with the idea of community branding and giving the identity and that face and that representation or what's the word?
Bananas.
Yes. Reputation. Jeez, I don't know. Of the brand, of people. So you take somebody who's a lover of or a tribe member. That's like a way of branding that has a representation like, New York Yankees are like this. They always shave, so on. And then you got Boston Red Sox who are like, they're much more hometown, like somebody and they have like goatees and they're a little more scuffed up, and that's like rugged Boston, like, yeah. And they have such a different culture and identity, and we bring that, and that's what we're representing now. It's a big shift, and Skool is one of the only places nowadays that actually even allows it. It's never been able to be.
Yeah.
You could say, some Facebook group. It's like, no, you can't do that there. It's just,
you can say
it's hollow.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah. So this idea of community identity, community branding, I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Skool itself as like a meta example, so you have like 2 beloved big personalities in Sam Ovens and Alex Hormozi. They come together, they make a community called the Skool Games. Because of their personality and the characters that they are, they attract a certain type of people inside that community, and then the community itself takes on its own identity.
Yes.
Look around this room. Like, this room is flooded with Skool merch. People wear these hats and these shirts and everything like crazy because it's become part of their identity. They take Skool as an identity, and you would never see anyone wearing a Facebook hat or a Kajabi hat.
Very true.
Analyze this. Why do you think this has happened?
I would probably say fundamentally let's take a look at Skool in general. There's lots of community platforms out there. But when you have a community of communities, the idea that you can walk in and out of them, right? I think a few years ago, probably we can all agree, like I know myself personally, I was like, I don't think I want to use Skool. And it was the last one on the list that I used. Literally, I tried them all the others, because I could customize this color or do that thing. And I was missing the point, which none of us realized at the time, but it wasn't having a community that was just yours and your CRM was only for you and stuff like that. It was giving people the idea of community and then letting them find the one that best suited them. Because one might work for you for a certain period of time, and then maybe another one will work for you for a certain period of time. But it doesn't mean you have to leave this place of community. So I think, the team at Skool knew this early on, and the rest of us are just like arriving at that. And to have such a massive realization is pretty significant in people's lives.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're not just jazzed about your community, but the platform that lets people walk in and out of yours.
For sure.
Well, before I joined Captivate, I had my own community. And right from the beginning, I was really active in the Skool community, which is the main community. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, for the first time in my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, it felt like this is where I need to be for whatever reason. I don't know the reason. But I started my own community, and that was amazing. I had this mindset of, I'm here to just find my people, and, no plan on what I wanted to be. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to come on here and hang out and whatever. Because it just felt so natural to do that. And then I found Captivate. And I was like, they're really interesting. It felt like doing business, but in a fun environment. And I was lacking a lot of that. So finding Captivate just captivated me.
Yeah,
absolutely. So let's do this, okay? So one of the biggest takeaways from when you guys won the Skool games and you were at the Hormozi Mastermind, it's the number one thing that everyone talked about in the hallways, at lunches, at dinner time, and we'll play the clip.
Yeah.
But Hormozi stands up and he draws two diagrams on the flip chart. And those two diagrams, I feel like were the start. They were the beginning of the end. Like, it was the first domino that I feel like is going to ripple across this, not just Skool, but the entire community online industry.
So I just drew this on here because I think it's a really simple visual in terms of like the difference between, like, this is just how I would explain it. It's like each one of these people on the right, this is the traditional way that most people are doing it, which is that they try and become more and more interesting themselves.
The guru model. That's literally guru model.
Yeah, Here, I'll just write it.
Guru model doesn't work well for community, by the way. If you just post, it doesn't work. And if everyone wants to talk to you, you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think about this. So like, this is what it looks like visually. And with your eyes, you can almost immediately see the difference. But the point that I would highlight is, look how many tie-ins these people have to the community versus those people. Those people only have one tie. And so likely, like, if this breaks, right? This breaks, this guy leaves, right? He gets out. But if all of a sudden this breaks, right? He, stops talking to that guy. He's not going anywhere, right? Or this breaks, like, nothing happens. And so I think a lot of the things that we're talking about here are trying to get to this.
Yeah.
Q Goose. Tell us what it is.
Oh, dude, I love this. I've got a whole soapbox about it. Okay. It's a beautiful problem to have because pre-Skool, I don't think it existed. Now you have a situation where you can scale a productized service as a community where you can put your time in and see the results extended out. Like, you're delivering more value over time and you're getting more benefit over time. Like, what could you ask for from the client or the administrator side that could improve that? I really don't know. So if you imagine that system working, well, the next problem is, how do you make sure that there's longevity in the system? And we've just arrived at that recently, I think, as a community of communities. So you have two methods, and I think every time I've run into Alex, we've talked about this exact thing. You've got the guru model, where you've got a leader on top, and he's got individual connections to everyone in there. Not sustainable, not scalable. And you've got the other one, which is a network model. And in that, you're essentially making sure that you have the structure that will let everyone else become buddies. Because if everyone's friends underneath this structure that you've designed, well, of course you're not going to go anywhere else. Even if you don't get necessarily, there's a severance between the admins and the leadership and the individual, there's still a bunch of friends there that'll keep you there. And so if you focus on, this is more for communities that are running, that have engagement and money going through the system. But once you have that, as soon as you start switching to a network model, which everyone can do. It's not like one community can do it. Like you can have a single personality that's in front, but still have that network model. As soon as you crack that, everything changes. Your churn drops, your engagement goes up, all of it.
Right, because even if people feel like they're not connected to the guru, they won't leave because of all the friends that they've made.
Yeah.
And actually, to leave the group means saying goodbye to your friends.
Yeah. I would actually argue that is why. I would argue that's why Skool brought us on to help set up the games, because it was practically, like on paper, it had all the pieces, but emotionally, it was missing that network element. Because Sam and Alex, they love having those events, but they don't want to be the main source for all of your level up features when you win the Skool games and go. And that's like what the mansion's for and what the balloons are for.
Bro, it's bacon wrapping up the broccoli.
That's exactly right.
Sam and Alex are the broccoli. And you guys brought the bacon.
Yeah, that's right.
But
man.
it's amazing how what an impact the ripple effect of bacon. Because like you guys all saw it at the Hormozi Mastermind. It's like, how many hours out of the 8 hours do you think Alex was talking?
Yeah, less than I've ever seen.
It was all about the relationships underneath the guru.
Yeah.
It wasn't individual to guru. It was everyone in the room was like masterminding each other. Yeah. And half the time, Hormozi was just sitting there like this. For like, it felt like...
Patiently waiting.
Yeah, like half an hour at a time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't ask him, but I was looking at him, I was like, I think he likes this.
Yeah.
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 I think all of them did.
Yeah. I mean, just like school, it makes me think, like, just like in school, you have your own cliques and everybody communicates, and there's the jocks, there's the goth kids, there's like the freaks, there's the cool guys, the rebels, and everybody's identity and fits in this model. So you will find a place on Skool, and the more Skool grows, the more specific that you can find a place to belong.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could see Alex just kind of not talking because everything ran itself.
And that's the beauty of the network model.
And that's the meta for how all of our Skool communities can be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you just set the stage and then let the people do their thing.
Yeah. I was literally just talking with Max about this, where when you imagine Skool, right, and everything that it's doing, which is clearly successful, and replicating those little pieces in your community, like the Skool games. We ran one called Rainbow Games, and people fucking love it.
Right.
And the engagement just spikes on that stuff. I mean, the blueprint's already there, really.
Yeah.
You just take a look at it and be like, okay, well, we'll do our own version.
For sure. So you guys have one of the most engaged communities on the platform. So much so that you have all these like big dogs who are these gurus who are looking at what you're doing. They're like, dude, we need that. And it's funny because I've watched all of your guys' like meteoric rise on Skool in the last 2 months. It's crazy how short it's been. And at the start, it's like, who the hell are all these rainbow freaks? You know, it's like, who are these weird kids?
Yeah, I was saying that.
They're like, yeah.
My nails.
Yeah.
After being part of Captivate.
You join the group and it's like, you guys are weird. And then next thing you know, it's like it starts to spread and people start to get it. And now you have all these communities that are like black and white branding, a little bit cold, a little more guru orientated, very data. And they're like, dude, we need some of this Captivate stuff. So I'd love for each of you guys to share, like, and we can discuss about each of them. What are your like secret hacks, your top tips for the Skool community owners listening who want to really improve their engagement, really want to improve their retention, and they also want to bring some of that community spirit to their thing?
You guys want to start?
Sure, yeah. Bon said something about the sense of belonging. I think that's an innate desire that we all have as humans. We weren't meant to be, doing this ourselves. We're meant to be, part of a tribe. And that gives you that sense of belonging that a lot of us are lacking right now. And it's very sad. It makes me sad because all it can take is just having a true, raw conversation with one person. And that's what Captivate, we see that happening is those raw, real conversations. Like Goose will show up with his no shirt on a call while he's changing.
Dude, is that part of your 999? I joined to see that.
That's really how you get in, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the Constantine one, right?
I don't know. There were many.
I took a call. To clarify, I woke up and I was in bed taking what you would call a sales call.
Yeah, so you're not sitting up with like your like fancy lighting and your perfect background. It's just like, this is part of my life, dude. I'm making eggs. I'm going. I'm like standing outside.
In the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, wherever.
Yeah, our last mastermind and DP Dive was in the car.
Yeah, but what we've been doing is introducing inter-community events, and that has been helping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what we're currently trying, and I think today's the last day of Rainbow Games, which in itself is a whole thing, but inter-community events, for example, I host one inside of Captivate, and it's a co-working call where we just come together and work.
It's more fun than it sounds.
Yeah, it's a little bit more fun.
No, but it's massive because like if you want to do a deep work slot, you can just sit there and do it by yourself, or it's almost to recreate that like library effect, or a coffee shop effect, where it's like, oh crap, I gotta work because like everyone's looking at me not working, so I better just like do my thing. Do you know what I mean?
And we start with a little meditation and intention setting, just to cultivate an energy, because we're all working towards the same thing, just in our own unique ways. And actually, I was talking to Nate Belmar, which in itself is crazy.
Flex. What a flex.
What a flex.
Mic throw.
Yeah.
And
so I'm like best friends with Nate Belmar.
Yeah, we're tight. We're homies.
And I asked him, how do you manage the energy? Because he was talking about that it's not about you just being there, just whatever. It's more about how can you manage as a community leader. How can you manage the energy better? And how can you manage the engagement better? Because if you can, manage the engagement, you can manage the energy and all that. We got really deep into this conversation, but I think inter-community events have allowed us to create a space where we can come together and...
Yeah, and it's fun.
I don't know if that made sense, but...
Oh, it totally does.
Okay.
I want to shift. One of the words maybe could have been corrected that you're talking about is instead of managing, it's more directing. Like it's not about us most of the time, and it's taking somebody so you'll direct a group and then you'll pull in another group that we say it's like vouching for a new friend. Like, hey, I know you guys are like the jocks, but my friend, she's art person, like come on in, like she's cool, it's all right. And you vouch for communities to join in or other people that are not in the group, and you have that. You can do that through the directing of things, and this is more very specific, but yeah, it's not about you. That's the whole idea,
right?
And it works so well to get them to fall in love with each other.
And those interconnected events, it's exactly what you talked about. It's not guru to individual, it's individual to individual. It's all this community stuff. And I like that you guys, if you were like a savage businessman who wears a suit, you're like, that's not value. You know what I mean? It's like we're not educating people on the thing that they signed up for the group for. Yeah. But you guys, like you said, you do meditations, you do co-working. I've seen some communities play video games together.
Really?
And it's just fun. It's a way to...
We've done that. Those. Yeah, we're like
Bring
a month
them
ago.
back.
Yeah.
It's a way to encourage people to build relationships with the people, the fellow travelers who are on the journey together. Mm-hmm. And that is very, very sticky. And it actually helps people get better results, because if they're alone, then they're just going to churn and they're not going to get there.
Yeah. The number one feature that has been my favorite is I don't have like a cool name for it, but it's the gamification of the gamification. So the beauty of what Skool has is all of these cool little features that have really been thought out very well. It gives you a great structure that you can customize and kind of tailor to what sort of fashion you might like to either yourself or imagine people might like to play a game and get further along in their life. And whether it's the leaderboards or the names of things you can have on the leaderboards or what you unlock, those unlocking capabilities, if you can leverage those things all together, may it be merch or profile photos, custom profile photos, any of that stuff, man, people really value the shit out of that.
For sure.
That little extra touch is like, that's really, like if you imagine going from a corporate or personal brand to a community brand, that big jump of really, like, what does it mean to having community there? Well, it kind of means you're talking to more to the emotions on things. Sure, the structure's there. People are there because they're trying to advance. But one of the biggest things that we're always preaching in the business community is you're giving people what they want. You speak the language of what they want so that you can give them what they need.
Right.
And usually what they need is not what they think they want.
Bro, it's the Trojan horse. It's the broccoli wrapped in bacon.
Yeah.
It's the insert third metaphor here. It's all that sort of stuff. Yeah. You said something mad. You said it helps people fall in love with each other more.
Yeah.
And I want to let us out a little bit, because I think it's just another way of saying what we said at the top of the show. It's like people fell in love with Sam and Alex. And then what I saw happen with you, the three of you guys, is we fell in love with you. Like, we fell in love with Goose, we fell in love with Bon, we fell in love with Nav. Goose was coming in with his rainbow stuff. You came in with all your design and your gift stuff, and you did things that were not like, I'm here to make money, but you contributed to the culture, and people fell in love with you.
He made the cat.
Dude, he made the cat.
The cat. Yeah, I would say I'm a little more of a sleeper value adder.
So I guess what I'm asking is, like, how do you get people to fall in love with you? Why is that important? And then the next step down is, how do you get people to fall in love with each other?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this, but I will pass this off to Nav, because, I mean, Nav is one of the fastest growing Skool members I think there was to get to level 7.
Meteoric rise.
She does make people fall in love with her faster and more. I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, no one loves Spawn.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody.
I love you, Bon. I love you enough to make up for everyone else not loving you.
Yeah, thanks. I love you too.
It's a deep love. Yeah.
How do you think?
Thank you, first of all.
Yeah, how do you?
How the hell are you so lovable?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't know.
Actually, this is a better thing. Why do we think that everyone fell in love with Nav? Because it's kind of awkward.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's actually great. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely enthusiasm.
That's I think because she's very colorful online.
Yeah,
you know,
especially her personality.
I like the purple. When I think about you, I think about purple.
Goose created that.
Yeah.
Profile picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was something that, I mean, back when she was just a client, we were running through the list. I mean, I just do this sometimes, even when I have free time, which is not often. I'll sit down and be like, who's doing really well in the community? And I'll just reach out and be like, hey, do you want a profile photo? Because it's fun. I'm good at that kind of stuff. And yeah, and when we made hers, man, it totally changed your game. It's such a stupid little thing.
Yeah.
But it is pretty stupid.
No,
but she loves it.
It's her identity.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's why it's powerful.
Yeah, and you captured it so beautifully.
Thanks.
I was shocked.
I'm going to drop a little bit of secret sauce. Internally, we were making fun of people who have rings around their profile pictures just for fun. Yeah. And so there's like a couple of people on the Skool team who have it, Kirby being one of them.
Yeah.
And like we were chatting, we were like, Kirby is like, you know, when are you going to change your ring? When are you going to update it? And he actually sent like a very clever response. He said, I can't change it.
It's future-proofed, right?
Because this is my brand. It's like brand recognition.
Yeah.
If I change my picture, it's like people will miss the pattern. And they'll literally be like, they won't even recognize the profile or the comment or the post as Andrew Kirby, even though it says Andrew Kirby beside his name. Yeah. And I've experienced that. Whenever people change their profiles on Skool, it's almost like you're blind to them. even if you were like, you're homies with them, like, oh, who's this guy? Because your brain just like, you lose that identity. So it's quite interesting.
Color's
I think it's important. Yeah.
Color's important. And on that note, there's a big misconception, like having a good logo, for instance. It's a similar thing. The face avatar is a logo. But if you really want a good brand design and a good brand logo, just put anything at all and never change it. That is the rule.
Wow.
Like, just go about 20 years. It doesn't matter what you have. Of course, some things are like technical, like how does it shrink and stuff. But if he doesn't change it, then that's good. Like, yeah.
we got eyes on that one.
Yeah.
You know,
it's everything.
So consistency is like super. It's like the overpowered thing.
Yeah, for that part of it, the branding and any kind of branding.
Well, why do you think people fell in love with Nav?
Yeah, I was thinking about this just now, and I think it was harps to something she said in the very first time she spoke today. Was it's kind of she just did it. She just kind of showed up, and just did stuff. She wasn't asking for anything. You know how like if you're trying to be cool, that's not cool.
Bro, when I get DM'd, it's like, hey, can I come on the podcast? It's like,
no, yeah, exactly.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so
Well, you were on the list.
the anti try hard, like, but she hustled, like she did a lot of work, but it was like kind of just like did it, and then
there's a guy in the UK. He calls that with or without you energy. It's like, I'm having a party, I'm doing something, and I don't care if you join. And that's very attractive, I think.
Yeah,
people want to be part of it.
I would say that's Nav's energy.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Right off the bat, one of the things that became really core in Captivate as soon as Nav got involved as a member was small things, and it still runs. And one of the big ones was people will often struggle a bit with discipline. How do you start your business empire, right? Where do you start with all of that? And discipline's a big one. And so we arrive at these really weird conclusions that are often quite practical, but on its face a little bit bizarre. And it's people like Nav that show up and are just like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And the big one, the recent one, was wake up in the morning and dance to at least one song, but you can do two, and you just dance.
I think that was Z's idea. I don't know.
No, it's part of what we suggest people do. And Z took it, and Z's running with it, but it's in the community as this. You can eventually go to level 4, which is cold showers. That's more intense, but you start with these little tangibles, and someone like Nav, that kind of personality, just takes something silly and runs with it.
For sure,
it's beautiful.
So this idea of getting people to fall in love with the hosts and fall in love with each other, you guys, and we're kind of just touched on this. You guys have elevated people inside your community to almost like co-host status, and that in and of itself starts to break down that guru model
exactly
and create more of a network model. Could you lay out how other tell us what you did and how other communities could start to do something like that?
Now, getting specifics when it's something conceptual is pretty difficult, and I think that's the magic of it, and that's where our work is going to stand out like crazy, because it's about thinking outside of the box. It's very difficult for a person who doesn't do it to do it, and treat a situation like I love the Tim Ferriss line, what would it look like if? So you say, well, what would it look like if everybody came on every single day into your community? You'd be like, well, they need something to do. Like whether it's a checklist, a report, accountability, touch base with somebody, DM somebody, and bring in actually something that represents that. So that's like a off-the-cuff idea of what does it look like if. And that thinking goes beyond a simple strategy or a simple tactic. Strategy over tactic. That method is a specific. It's really broad, of course, but that's where our strengths are. And that's what brings identity. Identity is an intangible, and you try to think of it backwards, which Goose and I have a whole crazy secret sauce about doing things upside down.
We started that like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's worked. It works crazy, and we don't even know how it works sometimes, but it works.
Yeah.
So the way this is the summary of the whole conversation. Actually, we probably could have just started here. You guys showed up being who you are. And that's why I think people fell in love with you. Because your personalities are like this. They're colorful, they're kind, they're very, very, when I look at you, Bon, I think like you're a real servant. Like you love to serve, and you can not only serve just like in a general way, but like in a very specific way. So you can like pinpoint like, oh, if they did this, then this, and then you just do this. And so because of who you guys are and because of who you guys collectively combine, like some sort of like, what do you call the Power Rangers? Is it a Megatron or something?
Oh,
Mega Megatron is the other
Megatron
one,
is the evil one.
Yeah.
That big Power Rangers robot
like
combination sort of thing.
Megazord! My man. All right, that's right.
Oh, from the producer chair. I love it.
Excellent.
There are lots of different personality types, and some people just don't have that.
Yeah.
They have other things. They have extreme data, extreme discipline, extreme understand how social media works, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not surprised that other community owners are coming to you because they're like, hey, there's like a Captivate shaped hole in my community, and I'm not a rainbow guy. I'm not a feely guy. I'm not a empathetic guy who knows how to like help people.
A bearded guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a beard.
Yeah.
So you guys are actually monetizing your natural God-given gifts and personalities and are plugging that into other communities. And it sounds so silly to say that because you guys have got help from other communities on specific things that you aren't good at. But why I think, what's your new group called? Engaged?
Engaged.
And it's to help school community owners with their engagement and their retention.
Yeah.
Why I think Engaged is so interesting because it's a little bit softer. It's a little more squishier. But Skool has made it more tangible because there's one metric that proves that, and it's called churn.
Yeah.
So it's very rare because I'm also more of a feeler empathy sort of guy. It's interesting because now we actually have a hard data metric that will measure how optimum our personalities are acting.
Our
if that makes sense.
emotional connection,
Yeah.
basically.
That's very true,
That's
yeah.
basically what churn is a reflection of, is your emotional connection. And I have not seen that, just as you're saying, I've never seen that metric before show up somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's that weird beauty of Skool. Because I talk about this all the time. Like, I've always been this person. I'll be this person alone in a room. But when you can be in a place where you can be super weird and suddenly people are like, oh, that might be kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of shitty. It took 32 years to get there, but I'm here. And it's really amazing.
You were just doing your sound check.
Sorry?
You were just doing your sound check.
Yeah, I was just doing my sound check. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think all of us were, really.
Yeah, and to that point, it's, you get everybody together and not try to fit into some mold. You become worth more than the sum of your parts, in a way.
Correct. Yeah, that's the value of the team. Like, that's how the network model works better. Because you can still be your head or brand or whatever, but because you're flexing the team, you're showing the community how to do the same thing.
Yeah, and a big community is just having a big team. Like the three of us, we have our weaknesses and we have our strengths, and it kind of works really well together. And just like that, you can apply that on like a bigger scale with communities. You can use resources and tools from other communities, and you can come together and create something that can just help everyone.
Yeah, and on the idea of churn, it helps everybody because you're promoting that emotion, like you say, through your service of the community. So a good example of churn, like a personal development community might have a lot of churn because it's, you might get busy at work and then, something like that. It's a more difficult, higher churn rate. But then you take some like very successful company that has very low, like, cell phone company, right? Verizon, whoever. Their churn rate's like, what, 2%, 3%, 4%? It's like, nobody's leaving. The reason, it's not the phone. It's that they're connecting to their family. They're connecting to their friends, and they do not want to cut that off.
Yeah.
Right.
So we bring that. We say, all right, let's take this community and pretend it's your phone. Connect you to these people. And then we also introduce them. That's the platform of Skool. It allows us to have that. The Skool is the cell phone towers. So
What the heck? Bro, you just like give birth to something in real time there. Did you feel that?
yeah, I don't know.
The feels are sticky, baby.
Yeah.
Wow. But that's what we were talking about earlier, where even after people in your community have consumed your course material and they've maybe achieved the outcome that they want, it's like if they have friends and community on there, it's like they won't leave.
Yeah, this is actually really important for any community leader that's listening to this right now. If you have one big takeaway, I would probably say that at its core, once you've delivered on your offer, if your offer is a temporary one-off thing, well, then your job, like this mindset allows you to realize that the next thing is making them feel so fucking good about it that you give them a platform so that they can teach the next person within your community. And it takes off like fire there. So there never has to be a fear that what you're delivering, we talk to a lot of owners about this, what you're delivering is going to be so good that they'll solve the problem and then they leave. You're not a pharmaceutical company. That's not your thing. You're literally helping them get to that thing as soon as possible so that they're just so glad to be in that position. They're like, okay, well, my cup's full. It's time to fill someone else's.
So good, man. So good. Bon, I'm going to call you an Uber so that whenever we finish, it'll be ready to go.
Appreciate it.
So talk to me about like the future, because we were We were at the Hormozi one day yesterday. No, we weren't. I don't even know what day it is. Yeah,
It's
we were
all
at the
one
Hormozi
day.
one day some point in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And Max Pearson was there. Max's team were there.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting how they all introduced themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, hi, my name's Dylan and I'm a school specialist.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Dan and I'm a school specialist. And I just thought that was like, oh, like this is the start of a new industry
Yeah.
where we actually, there's going to be a whole industry that will just serve community owners.
Yes.
And you guys are on the forefront of this with Engaged and with what you're doing. And I can see other people on the platform where we're only going to exist to help people run ads to their school. Or before I got hired by Skool, my plan was to make an offer that was like, we're going to help school community owners with their podcasts. So it's interesting.
You do podcasts?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys know that?
Yeah,
Cool.
it's kind of fun. So I do think that there's going to be a huge trend here where, okay, maybe someone doesn't want a community, but actually they could build a fabulous business by solving the needs of this new emerging market, which is school community owners.
Yeah. The market within the market.
Market within the market, bro.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to solve these little secret sauces, what requires little secret sauces, you are essentially giving school its future, which to this point we've only just started seeing within the last month or two what that's going to look like.
For sure.
Yeah.
What airline are you flying with?
Delta.
Delta,
I
cool.
think.
And then Max,
Bon has a flight.
if you're listening to this, Max, I don't know I can't really do the maths because I'm a touchy-feely guy. But if you're listening and if you could come in, I'd love to know, like, I really want to sell the importance of reducing churn. So if you're making like $10,000 a month and your churn is like 20%, if you reduce your churn by like 10%, how much more money do you make?
So if you have a $100 a month customer, okay, and you have 10% churn, so this is for you. So 10% churn, $100 a month customer, LTV in terms of revenue is $1,000. So you put churn below price, that gives you your LTV. All right. Now, if I just take this 10% and get it to 3%, all right, so I have a 7% reduction in churn. Winky face. I have a $3,000 LTV. I might have done that. It might be 33, but whatever. You get the idea. It's much higher. All right. And so driving this churn down is probably the single biggest lever that many of you guys will have in the business to make your customers more valuable.
Max Pearson in the house!
You stay this. Okay. All right.
Just
I'll just sit in the corner here.
Indian style.
Sit on the floor.
Can this handle the weight of a person? Maybe not. Okay.
No. It's made of paper mache.
Yeah.
So Max, like, I mean, you're like a school OG at this point. Like, you are one of the innovators, like we were talking about in the car, the early adopters. And so, you know, my big impression from like what you were saying and conversations outside of the one day is that like churn is the thing to focus on.
Yeah. And like, I just want to preface with that, like the network model equals retention, that equals money. So if you guys like money, you should check out these guys.
That's why I brought you in. I was like, dude, there's too much touchy-feely in here. We need some money in the room. Come on.
No, yeah, but like the community that figures out the churn or like the retention, they're going to be the guys or the girls who just double or triple or quadruple the MRR that everybody else is doing. Because everybody's battling churn right now. That is the thing.
It's the problem.
It is the problem. Yeah.
And your team shared like a really funny story where it's just like, just randomly throughout the day or on the calls, you'll just like look up into the space and say one word.
Yeah, it's just like retention or churn. It's
like
literally
constant.
like that. Yeah, I'm just like, we've been having conversations. Last night we sat for, I think, from 6 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. at a round table after dinner, or like dinner and then talking about retention.
Yeah.
And churn. And so, yeah, that's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Because you've been in info for a while. And it's interesting because like the normal model of info is like you sell like a 5K or 10K course.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You sell it once and then it's done.
Yeah.
And what's the Skool model where it's like every single month, monthly recurring revenue? It's forcing all of us to think like a SaaS company.
Yeah.
Like to think like Netflix. And I don't know if this has really been done before. So and you said this when we had dinner. It's like, I really feel like we're on the cusp and like the razor sharp edge of like solving a new problem that hasn't been solved before.
No, like all of us are. Like we sat in that room and like the school games, and we talked for like 3 hours about churn and fixing the churn and getting in retention. That's like a mastermind of people are trying to fix that for the online education space, which is really, really cool. And I'm very like trying to fix it in the technical way.
Yeah.
And that's why we need more of like what you guys are doing, because it's not only about that. It's about like the feeling and like, and also the levels in the community and solving all of these problems as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much, most people in business take the numbers and they take that analytical approach. And we're analytical and deliberate. But that, yeah, it's very much feeling. And this is the thing is there's a hard numbers of churn rate. And the root of the problem isn't numbers. It's not here's this, the ads bring in this. The problem is that they're people and they're not happy. That's the root cause. Mm-hmm. That's what we solve. And that's what I say is one major part, not all of it. You have to look at them like people. Stop looking at them at like their numbers. And that's where the beginning of that solution is.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think adoption is a huge thing. Like how do you adopt people in the community? And you can only do that by being like meeting people, like socializing with them. We're doing onboarding calls and we've seen the churn drop a lot by the people who just do an onboarding call, which is
setting expectations.
Yeah, basically a sales call into the community has helped a lot.
Are they one-on-one, those onboarding calls?
They're one-on-one, yeah.
Interesting.
And we're going to start doing group onboarding calls as well.
This is interesting. One of a little bit of sauce that was shared in the mansion last night was one of the powers of group onboarding calls is, okay, for your sales team, they can do like a lot more people at once, but also it's a way to connect people in the community with each other. Yeah. And this is crazy. I'm just going to share this. Like for anyone who thinks this would be a good idea, like if you can get people in the group onboarding call to write their welcome comment in the pinned post and then get everyone in the call to like each other's comments, you can get them to like level 2 or level 3 like instantly, and then you start that level of progression.
100%. And I like something that I don't see a lot of people talk about as well, which I'm trying to like, which is spinning in my head. Since we're selling an online education, we're selling a course, right? And we're mainly selling the education. If you buy into a community for $100, one sale, and it's supposed to be a recurring thing, but in the beginning you just pay $100 and you get the information, then you kind of get the feeling that you've received everything that you need, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, now I kind of get it. Like, why do I really need to stay in here continuously? So one thing to solve that is obviously the network model, but also adding on to that, I feel like doing some type of licensing for the online education space when we do subscription models, I think will be huge. Like you get the information, you get the community and the network model, but you also get something else. You get something else that hinders you from leaving, that you can like incorporate into your business, whatever that is, software or like digital
done for
graphics,
you of any sort,
anything. That's just like, if I leave, I lose out on like the information, but I also lose out on this thing that I use every day in my business now. I can't leave. And I have the community and the network model and all of these benefits that comes with like leveling up in the community and being active. Yeah. And the social status and all of these things that comes with it.
There's so much.
Bro.
There's games, rainbow games,
that's
the
what we call a
leaderboards.
value stack, my friends.
The resources are all there.
Yeah, and another thing too is like
the resources are all there, man. All there.
Producers are like, they've ruined the studio forever. So, closing up, biggest takeaway in regards to what we've talked about, like churn, community spirit from the Hormozi one day. I want to hear one from each of you guys, and then Bon's going to literally jump in an Uber like an absolute celebrity.
I think just the biggest...
Actually, Bon, you need to go first because your Uber's outside.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, I don't have an answer yet.
That's fine. Go.
What's your favorite color?
Mirror.
Yeah, I know. Oh man.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Shit. I guess the biggest takeaway is that iterations are absolutely necessary in everything. So in school or in your community, you have an idea, commit to the idea, and experiment. Just because if it flops a little bit, that just means that you can test something else. And kind of give yourself, it's not an A/B test, but push it. See where else it can go. Experiment, try. Oh, do you need a photo booth? Do you need to change the model of how the conversation goes. Iterate, refine, and then just never expect it to be complete. And I mean, that's like a paralysis by analysis. There's all these things that stop things getting in the way. If you just get it going, it's going to get somewhere good.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Dude, I love you. See you whenever I see you next time.
Later, bud.
cheers, dude.
Bye.
Enjoy your flight. This was like the most last minute podcast ever. We were sitting in the winner's mansion.
Bye, Bon.
Literally, and I woke up and I had a dream last night that we did this podcast. I was like,
Oh,
dude,
you did?
Yeah, I was like,
you
dude,
had a dream.
I told you.
forgot. I know, but I forgot.
And I was like, dude, I really think like it would be cool to like get the Captivate team together to do something about churn. And I was like, oh, Bon, like when do you fly? He goes, oh, dude, I fly at like 11. I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. And then I messaged these guys, Sticky Paw Studios, and I was like, hey, are you free today? And they're like, what time? I'm like, in 30 minutes. And
We'll make it happen.
then you guys just made it happen. So like, yeah, huge thanks, huge
This
respect.
was amazing.
And then next thing you know, Max Pearson's in the building. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So takeaway from you guys.
If you really imagine like a good group of friends that you've had for a really long time, I've usually gone through phases of friends where as I change, so does that group. They sort of just drop off naturally. And it's not that fun. And if you can be growing with people, like I don't know if there is a better environment to be in than with a group of people that you go through a period of life with, like a long period of life with, and you're all growing together. Imagine what that feels like. What are the feelings involved in that community growth? And if you can imagine that and extract those things, the stuff that makes you happy, the stuff that makes you sad, the stuff you can share, things you can learn, right? Those little pieces are what add to the experience that we provide on Skool. All of us can. So it really always comes down to, for me, whatever you're doing practically, just always make sure to give it a little bit of that feel, that emotion, that human thing.
For sure.
I have mine, I think.
Yeah.
Go Navigator.
Shut up, Max.
Do it.
She's ready.
Sorry, otherwise I'm going to forget. But everyone needs to be heard and everyone wants to be heard. And the best place to do that is within a community. And yes, you know, we all have our own things, like our own offers and what we're selling. But at the end of the day, all we're really selling is connecting and connection with other people. And our offer is just like this tool that we can use to just help them even more. But it's connection, and that's why people stay, and that's why people want to keep coming back again and again. So,
Nice.
yeah.
We've all been so focused on traffic and conversion, and nobody is really like focused on the retention part. And
You win the games from those too.
Yeah.
Like that's how you get in the room.
exactly. And
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
to fix the retention, it's just like how can we give value continuously? That's really what it is. And then just just focus on that. How can we give value just continuously, both in the community and the social aspect, but also that from the product aspect. And like whether licensing or whatever it is, but like just focusing on retention and like the churn is really the thing. And the people who fixes that, they're gonna take off like nothing else. So,
Right.
So if people want to grow Skool communities and make more money, then just focus on retention and just like learn from anybody and everybody and just go all in. That's really literally how I eat and sleep right now. It's just like
Engaged.
yeah, like how do I fix the churn?
For sure.
I was actually
Yeah.
going to whisper Max Premium.
Oh, yeah. Max Premium.
Yeah, because you win the Skool games
Yeah.
through traffic and conversion.
Yeah.
You win the real game
Yeah.
through retention.
You win the race.
100%.
You win the all-time MMR leaderboard
yeah.
and the game of business through retention
Yeah.
and by changing people's lives, because people don't stay, they don't get results.
You know, an interesting thing that I'd like to share too is the reason why we went with the name Engaged was actually because retention was more of the fear-based strategy where there's a leak here and I'm worried about it. Like, yeah, retention is that problem. However, a well-engaged community does not need to worry about retention.
For sure.
And so you solve the source of the problem by just getting people that stuff that we're talking about.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think this is probably my most fun podcast ever was Skool. I just love the chaos. I love the last minute nature of it. I love the fact that you're here, Max. And it's cool. It's cool to see like the main characters of Skool like start to emerge and progress and change and go off into your own journeys as well. So yeah, really appreciate all of you guys. It's been super fun hanging for the last few days. And I mean, I can't stress enough how powerful it is to be here. Like, to win the Skool games, the life change effect that it leads to is just, you can't even imagine. And it's the power of community. It's like when you're rubbing shoulders with people, it is just, it's next level. So get involved.
Yeah.
Get off the sidelines.
And for those that have won, there's been rumblings in the last couple of days. I'm sure you've been in some of those conversations.
Are you going to hold me account to this? On air?
There's been rumblings of a whether it happens or not.
So let's see. We'll timestamp this. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah, man.
Now I have to go and pitch it.
Get on that.
Thanks, dudes. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for
really
watching from afar. If you've stumbled across this yet or not on Skool yet, you can jump in. There'll be a link in the description. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Later, dudes.
That was good.
Thanks to Sticky Paws. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you.